Hello, my name's Karen O'Connor and you're listening to Isn't That Interesting? Hello and welcome. I'm here today with Tracy Taylor from CBF Clothing. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm actually great. I've got to say to everybody, because I always get lots of comments on the different backgrounds. This is my lounge of my new house. I'm not in my office because my daughter's got my office. So if you see cats wandering about, and the same in your place too, apparently. Now, you're the owner of CBF Clothing. I was, right, I'm not going to read your bump because I just want to talk to you. So you started this whole clothing. I was really fascinated by your story that's on the website, because you started all this clothing because you were on your own fitness thing. And talk to me about it.
I think with most people, certainly with women, I think that we're always on that journey to look better or feel better or whatever it might be. And that's been a constant journey in my life. I've gone from being overweight and being unhealthy to being super fit and super healthy and everything in between. And yeah, I always have these crazy ideas. And one time I had a PT and I said to my personal trainer, I turned up and she goes, so how are we feeling today? And I was like, I can't be fucked, but I'm here. So what are we doing? That is always the case, because you don't always feel like doing what you do. But once you do, you're so glad you did. And it certainly sets you up for the rest of the day. And she just commented, you should put that on a T-shirt. You say it so often. And I thought, that's not a bad idea. So it snowballed from there. You mention it to friends and family and things, and they go, that's a silly idea. That won't work. That doesn't make sense. But I thought it's been in the back of my mind for years now. And then when we had the lockdown and I was looking for something to keep me occupied in the time when you're locked in your house, I thought, let's see what we can do. And here we are. It's manifested itself into something much greater, and it really has resonated a message with other people, in that you don't always feel like it, and it's not always about being that ultimate athlete and that be super fit, super healthy. It's just more about looking after yourself and more about just self-care, doing things for yourself and just living your best life.
It's really interesting you say that, and I like the whole ethos of the clothes, because when you go to a gym, it is very much appearance-based. You are judged on how you look, what you're wearing, what size bum you've got, how big your thighs you've got, like all of it. You're just judged on it constantly. And I know...
And it's the people that actually need to be there that don't feel comfortable there.
Yeah, and it puts you off. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she said she started at the gym, and she's not thin, but she's not got a gym body, but she's not, that sounds really judgmental, but she said she bought all of this, one of those pairs of shorts that's got the squidgy bits up the back to make your bum look rounder and everything, and the little crop top. She said, I couldn't do it. And I wore them once, and I felt like I was walking around with my hands in front of my bum going, don't look at my bum. She said, it's just all wrong for her.
Yeah. And that's where the clothing line comes in, because you need to feel comfortable, and you need to feel, if you are going to step into a gym where you don't feel like you belong, or you feel a bit intimidated, or you're worried that people, and to be honest, people aren't looking at you. They're too busy looking at themselves or worried about what everyone else is looking at them. So it's just our own insecurities that are putting us off. But I get it, because I've been doing the same. So it's just about being comfortable, but being your confident self and showing a bit of attitude as well, just to try and give you that bit more confidence to do fitness your own way. It doesn't have to be at the gym. It could be just going out for walks or dancing in your front room, whatever it might be, just something that will get your heart rate up and make you feel a bit better for the day.
How much do you think, having gone through it, talk to me, okay, let's give everybody a bit of background here, because I've been stalking you and your website and everything, so I've kind of got a bit of context. But share about your own story with us. Tell me how you've come to end up where you are now.
Yeah, like I said, my journey has been a constant battle of diets and exercise. I was pretty fit at school or as a teenager. I got into martial arts and I got into rowing, so I was pretty fit then. And then once you have a family and you settle into motherhood and lots of other things, it tends to, before you know it, you realize that you put on a bit of weight, and I was getting to the stage where I was uncomfortable in my own body. I'd try all the usual fad diets, you name it, I've tried it. We've done the ketos and we've done the shakes and we've done all the other stuff. And yes, it works for a bit, but then that's not really a sustainable way to be. So, of course, the weight would go back on again. And then I found Zumba and that became my new obsession. And I ended up becoming a personal trainer and a Zumba instructor. I was doing 7 classes a week at one stage and the boot camp every morning and running and doing personal training sessions in the evening. And I was just exhausted. And so I was probably appearance wise probably my healthiest self, but mentally I was not fit at all. I was certainly not healthy, and it certainly wasn't a healthy way to exercise. So I've gone from one extreme to the other and everywhere in between, and I feel my happiest now. I'm not certainly not necessarily physically fit in terms of what the diet culture and societal expectations are in terms of fitness, but mentally I am much happier, and I still exercise and do my own thing, but I certainly feel much more myself, and I do things my own way, and I don't buy into those diet expectations or cultural expectations upon me. I just like to just see how we go.
How do you get around that? Because I know for myself, when I know I should be going to the gym and I should be doing this and I should be doing weights and all the other stuff, and then you know that other people are doing it and you just use it for your own guilt trip, don't to beat yourself up. How have you moved beyond that?
A lot of counseling in some ways. I had my own coach for a while because I did feel like I wasn't living my own truth, and I was telling everyone what they can do or what they should be doing, but I wasn't doing that myself. Even with the CBF ethos of about being unapologetically authentic and doing things your own way, I was saying it, but I wasn't actually doing that. And it took a lot of just challenging those expectations and challenging that I don't have to go to the gym. There's other ways that you can exercise. There's other ways that you can do fitness. It's just about what works for you. Same with diet. You don't have to restrict yourself. You don't have to feel deprived of any particular favorite foods or anything like that. It's about balance. And if you enjoy a glass of wine every now and again, it's okay. And if people are judging you on that, then that's obviously their issues and the things that have been expectations that have been set on them. It doesn't mean that you have to buy into those rules. And yeah, so I'm very much about making my own rules, and as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else and as long as it's not completely illegal, then we've just got to live your life on your own terms. And I find that's really worked for me. And as soon as I started being more authentic to myself and breaking those rules a little bit. I come from a corporate background. You've got a lot of rules there of how you should look, how you should present yourself, what you can say, what you can't say. But as soon as I was a bit more authentic, even in that space, that was when the things started to fit in. And certainly people respected and valued my opinion a lot more because they knew I was coming from the right place.
That's really interesting. Why did other people get it, do you think? The authenticity. When you became authentic, why was it suddenly obvious?
I think people, they're so used to that, or I think it feels more refreshing to them because people are quite set on those expectations and what that putting on that mask. You have to be the perfect mother, so you have to feed your kid this, and you can't give them chocolate at 5 o'clock on a Friday or whatever it might be. I was like, no, it's okay to be a crap mom, or it's okay to be, because I think we all have those days when we we just can't be balked, can't be fucked, and we just have to put some fish fingers in the oven and hope for the best. And that's okay, because we all do it. We just don't admit it. And as soon as you put that out there and give people permission to be okay with not being perfect all the time, I think that's when it starts to resonate, and that's when they start to appreciate and let go themselves.
It's interesting because there is this, I've stayed off Instagram for most of my social media life. I'm on Instagram, but I don't enjoy it because it just seems to be full of all this perfect life, perfect face, perfect body, perfect whatever. Maybe that's just the people in my social circle. I don't know. And I've always rebelled against that because it just makes me feel even more inadequate, more insecure, more bad, wrong, and everything else that you can think. And then I find sometimes if I share, because I like to share what's going on for me and be perfectly honest about the fact that the thought that flashes through my mind is, oh my God, that bloke was a complete arsehole, wasn't he? And the anger that goes with it that I don't necessarily act on, but it comes through my mind. And some of the feedback on that is really interesting. Some of the criticism, oh, you need to go and do yoga, you should do more meditation, you got anger management issues.
We all get angry sometimes. That's a normal response to something that frustrates us or does. Oh, that's perfectly okay and that's something I encourage in my corporate life, and is just to have a vent sometimes and just say, fuck it, I'm not doing that today. And be okay with that. And it's certainly, I feel that is a more normal response than swallowing it down and trying to pretend that things are perfect, because they never are. There's always things that are going to happen. And it's how you deal with that.
Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say one of the hardest places is in your body image, isn't it? Is how you view yourself.
Yes.
Because you feel like you're on show all the time and everybody's looking at you, and, you know, your stomach's larding over the top of your pants, and, you know, your bum looks big in these trousers, and your arms, you really need to cover them up because you've got back wings going on there. We've all got all this stuff going on that we're constantly judging ourselves by, especially on Instagram.
And don't get me wrong, I still do it. I consciously unfollowed the real high fitness stuff, that Fitspo that they call it and all that sort of stuff, because it wasn't serving me. And so I actively sought out body positive model and influencers that gave the right message to me about how to be more authentic and not to. And they love their own bodies, which in turn helps you appreciate and understand that and feel good about yourself. And the filters as well. I try and avoid filters as much as possible, because again, that helps perpetuate that perception that we're not good enough as we are, and when really we should be showing our everything, all the raw bits and all the bits that aren't. It helps you relate to those people as well, because people are less likely to feel insecure if they know that there's someone else out there that's having the same challenges.
Yeah, with your body, sorry, my brain went off on like about 10 different tangents then. So the question isn't going to come out right. Because I do want to focus on body image, particularly as we get older, because once we get past a certain stage, and particularly when we've had kids, and then perimenopause hits, the estrogen just goes out the window and everything starts heading towards the floor. And that kind of exacerbates everything, doesn't it? Because I suppose what I'm asking you is, how are you dealing with that in what you're going through? And what advice have you got for everybody?
Gosh, that's a hard thing to say. I think it is, I make a conscious effort not to buy into those things. So, for instance, I'll put my hair in pigtails just so that I feel a bit silly a day, so that I wear a beanie that says CBF. So I try not to buy into those ways of how I should look or how I should act. And it has to be conscious at first, and then it becomes, sometimes it can mean that you have to step out of your comfort zone and feel a bit insecure, and see that not everyone's looking at you and not everyone is noticing what you're feeling inside. You need to have that positive reinforcement before it becomes more natural and before you feel more comfortable. So it can be a really challenging thing to step into, being more authentic and just loving yourself for who you are. But it is possible, but it takes a lot of practice. Yeah, so I think that's all I do. And I do strongly think that it is perpetuated in the media, and especially in films and stuff. You find that all the lead roles in movies and TV shows are all the younger type, or they try and make the older people, you're not fit for purpose once you get to a certain age. And again, I'm trying to change that I actually wish I knew now what I knew in my 20s. I wish I had the same attitude, because I think I would have there's a lot of things that I wish, and I try and instill in the younger people that I come into contact with, because I see those insecurities and I see those things that they're buying into, the collagens and all the other things, and I'm just like, you're perfect the way you are. And I just, hopefully the younger generation, they are starting to be seen a lot more out there in terms of their ideas and their concepts, and knowing and having that power in themselves, which I'm so grateful for, that they are starting to, it's starting to come through at a younger age, because that's certainly something that I wish I'd had at the time.
Yeah, me too. I remember I was talking to a dermatologist a while ago, and I'm like, so many wrinkles. And she's, it's because you use your face. If you didn't, if you were expressionless, you wouldn't have any wrinkles. I'm like, yeah, that's a really good point.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, but we don't think of that, do we? We think, shouldn't have the frown lines, shouldn't have the smile lines,
but we should. That shows that we've lived a good life, and we've lived a happy. If we've got smile lines, that means we've had a happy life. We need to be, and we have stretch marks because we've had a great life, or we've had babies, or whatever it might be. That it should be something that should be celebrated, not seen as something to improve on.
Yeah, that's really difficult as well, isn't it? If you've had kids and you've got that baby belly that never quite goes because the skin's been stretched so much, it's just not going to disappear. Thank you very much. Nobody warns you about that before you have kids. Because you see the film stars, they've all got the tummy tucks and all the belly's gone. Not like that, ladies. And I think that constant bombardment with surgical perfection and the, photoshopping is so damaging to our psyche and our expectations.
Very damaging,
yeah.
I had a fight with a marketing agency who I tried to put on a marketing agency for our campaign for CBF Clothing. And I ended up having to cancel the contract with them because it wasn't overly Photoshopped, but they literally just they'd put my t-shirt on just a stock model. And I was like, you don't get it, do you? Because the whole idea is that I don't want to use Photoshop because I'm promoting being an authentic self. So using photographs that have been digitally altered, even if it is on a healthy looking, what you consider to be a healthy looking woman, is not what we're about. So it's so ingrained in the norm that seems to be okay, that they just thought that was on. They said to me, we've done a poll with the people in here. They seem to see that this photo will get more attention and would be more attractive to an audience than this photo. And I was like, but they're not my people then. They're not the people that I want to be providing the clothing for. They're not my target audience. The people that they need to see people like me in the clothing to feel like that it's okay, that this is the brand for them, that they don't want to see skinny models like they see everywhere else. They need to see something different.
So when you design your clothes, do you design them yourself?
I do. I design the tees. And then the other clothing is just based on, I'll come out with a concept with a particular manufacturer, and then I work with them to try and get that off the ground. So the leggings, which are Hero Piece, I guess you would say, are a company that I worked with, that they were literally, I'd bought a pair as a sample, and they were the most comfiest things I'd ever worn. And I literally wore them every day during lockdown, and I was running and walking. I did at one stage I did a 45k walk, so they got some attention, and they lasted a good 18 months to 2 years, just literally using them every day. And even after that, they were starting to wear out in the crotch, but the logo was still perfect. So that's what I'm looking for in my brand, and those are the sort of things that we look for. But yeah, the t-shirt designs, the cheeky slogans, and again, gives you that permission to be a bit fun, a bit cheeky, or just a bit rebellious, and to say, no, I can't today, or just that we want to do things on our own terms. So that those are the sort of attitudes that we've got on our t-shirts. And then we just use stock t-shirts, but we make them to order so that we don't have excess stock that tends to go into a landfill.
Just going back to what you said before, the excess stock bit, I think the important thing in what you're doing and what you're saying, and it was only just occurring to me as you were talking, everything else in the fitness industry is about competition and comparing. Compare yourself to this perfect model over here with the no bum and the skinny legs and the 8-pack abs. And
just do it. Go harder, be faster, go stronger.
Yeah.
Strong is the new skinny, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it's all about comparison, isn't it? It's all about comparison. And it's great that you're going the opposite way and going, don't compare yourself. And that allows that buffer, doesn't it? I think. Is that what you're aiming for?
Yeah, I just want to give people permission to be whatever they want and whoever they want to be. And if that doesn't fit in with what society says we have to look like, then so be it. If you want to go out and if you want to wear your t-shirt backwards, go for it. No, I'm not going to judge. If you want to wear a man's t-shirt or a man's shirt, then that's fine. You do. The reason we say it's a man's is just for marketing purposes. Clothes don't have gender. They're just pieces of clothing. We're the ones that put those expectations on those things.
So actually, really, the fact that you do take the competition out of it, that's actually really important, because if I think about Instagram, for example, from that perspective, and not just Instagram as a whole, but all the influencers on Instagram, is generally about, are you as good as me? You do this and you can be as good as me. Do this and you can be as thin as me, as fast as me, look as good as me, be as great a parent as me.
Yep.
Whereas you're going, I'm over here doing my thing. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. And I still love doing Zumba or dancing, and sometimes I'll do weights when I feel like it. Sometimes I don't. But most of the time, just me walking the dog is enough. I'm still keeping healthy, but just in my own way. And I don't tell you that you have to go to the gym or you have to do this or you have to do that. You just have to look after yourself, and whatever that means for you is fine. And I'm more about the mental health side of it than it is because the more you try and set those expectations on yourself, the more insecure and the harder it is for your mental health. So I think whatever it looks like for you is enough, and that's okay.
But it is difficult to come to that, isn't it? To go, oh, this is what works for me, and be okay with it. That's the hard part.
100%. I said it only took me 20 years.
It's so difficult, though, isn't it? Just going, yeah, I'm me. I'm over here.
Yeah, I do have to thank my life coach for challenging those expectations that I set on myself, because you don't even know they're there. It's almost as if you don't know they're there until someone says to you, why do you think that? No, and you have to say, actually, yeah, you're right. Why do I think that? And then that's when you start digging into, do I have to? Is it okay if I stay in bed till 12? Yes, it is. If you're tired, if you want to have a day, that is okay. Why do you think it's not? And challenging that thought pattern, and just think it is, if you want to ever want to challenge, try and do absolutely nothing for one day. And you'll be able to see in your mind how hard it is, because your mind's going, should be doing the washing, or I should be going out for a walk, or I should be doing this. And that's where you start seeing all those external expectations coming through. and just trying to fight through those and go, no, I'm doing nothing today. But that's a really fun challenge to try and see how long you last. I can do it now.
It is so difficult, isn't it? Because I've looked at a similar sort of thing. Sorry, because I've done a fair bit of personal development. And one of my stories is that if you're not busy doing something, you're a waste of space. So I am like that Energizer bunny that you don't like. I bounce around everywhere because from being young, that was what I believed. I have to be doing something to prove that I'm worthy of being here.
And hustle culture is big at the moment. You've got people saying you have to get up at 5 o'clock and go to the gym before you do a day's work, and you have to do this and work hard, play hard, and all that sort of stuff. You don't. You just have to do life your own way. You don't have to be on the go the whole time. You don't have to hustle. For every entrepreneur or millionaire that did the 5 a.m. hustle, there'll be another one that didn't, so you can still get there your own way. You don't have to do it to how everyone else has done it.
Yeah, and that's where it's difficult to draw the line, isn't it? Because it's worked for them. What's going to work for me? So you've got to try things on until you go, that didn't work. I felt better when I did that, so I'm going to add a bit of this. But you've got to go through a lot of that, like with all the diets, for example. And it's just coming to terms with, I know when I eat that, I feel rubbish. I know when I eat that, my belly explodes. And it's just coming to terms with all of that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just one big experiment, and you've just got to try on new things. Like in a clothing store, you got to try on new things and see what feels good.
Yeah. And also, what you think might be best for you might not be actually what's best for you until you try something that you hadn't even considered looking at.
Definitely. I'm a big believer in the new experiences, and trying new things, because you never know what's going to fit.
So what is it that you've tried that you really didn't expect to make a difference but did, or you didn't expect to like?
I do still like running, and if you'd have asked me before I did go running, I would have said no. The only time you catch me running is if someone's chasing me. But I actually find that really good from a mental health perspective, because it really, again, it's about challenging that and pushing when your mind's screaming at you that you can't do it, to be able to just push through that and say, no, and setting that goal early and then pushing through to that next stage is such a great feeling afterwards. It sucks while you're in the moment, but once you get through it and you've achieved it, it really does set you up for the rest of the day.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's that bit that's the hard bit, isn't it? When you haven't been doing any kind of exercise for a while, the last thing you want to do is start, because you feel crap, you think that you look crap, all the other stuff going on, and that's the big barrier to it, isn't it?
Yeah, even just trying different things as well. Like sometimes I find it more productive or better for me when I do run in the morning. If I try and do it in the afternoon, it doesn't work as well for me. I find it harder to push through and to try and challenge myself at different times of the day. But it's about trying it different ways and different times, different places to see what works, and just trying to create that new habit. If it is something that you really want to try, but you're struggling just to get out of bed, then it's about those small steps. So even if it's the first day, you just get up, put your clothes on, and then go back to bed, that's still a step forward. And then the next day, you can maybe try and step out of the house before you go back to bed. And just trying small increments like that is enough. And eventually, if it feels good, and if after a couple of weeks it still sucks, then it's obviously not for you. Try something else.
Yeah, and the time of day thing is interesting, isn't it? Because the time that I work best is actually in the afternoon. Morning training just kills me. It just does not work for me. So I've figured out that, okay, it's afternoon training that works for me, but it's different for everybody. And it's that getting up.
It is, yeah.
I do know somebody used to go, no, you've got to get out of bed, 5:30, you're at the gym at 5:30, you've got to do this, that, work out for an hour and a half, you have your show, you come home and you get on with your day. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. So my theory is I do it in the morning before my brain realizes what I'm doing and talks me out of it. So that's my theory. And then I find that doing more mental challenges, so if I have to work, then I find I work better in the afternoon. I seem to be able to focus better. So that's why I keep my, but again, like you said, everyone's different. There's people that are morning people that would prefer to get it up, to do their work and get that out of the way and use that afternoon or evening to de-stress and relax. It's just about trying different ways and trying different things and seeing what works and what you enjoy mostly. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it.
In your opinion, what is the difference between how you feel about yourself now and how you felt about yourself, I don't know how long ago, 10, 15 years ago, before you started becoming kinder to yourself and being more authentic to yourself? What's the biggest difference, and what's made the most difference, and why does it make a difference? How do you feel about yourself?
Yeah, I feel like I have taken a lot of the chains off. I realized through a lot of, again, through the coaching, I guess you could say, is probably what worked, but just again, trying different things. But I realized that I have quite a rebellious nature, or a kind of that has been for me, is doing things differently and trying new things is what works for me. And yeah, just that experimental method, just trying to learn about what I enjoy and what I don't, and trying to reflect on what was I doing on the days that I felt good or I felt confident, and when I don't feel confident, what makes me feel better. So I think before that, I was very much it was very much about, this person says I should be doing this. This is how it has to happen. And it all comes from other people's ideas of how you should be and what you should do. Yeah, it's not just one thing. And I wish there was a light bulb moment, but there isn't. It really is a slow progress. And then before you know it, you're like, why did I accept that? Why did I think that was okay to do? Because it absolutely didn't have to be that way. But it's a slow work in progress. It's certainly not there isn't a magic fix, I'm afraid. As with anything in life, there's no magic fixes.
Do you journal a lot in reflection? Is that how you do it? You do some journaling?
On and off. I do like to do an evening reflection just on what went well. And I do strongly believe in the being grateful for things, or at least just reflecting on what's worked well that day, because I think that does it certainly creates a more positive, or it makes you feel more accomplished instead of always beating yourself. If you decide you're going to have a bad day, you generally have a bad day. So if you flip that, if you generally say, I'm going to have a good day today, or this is what worked yesterday, and this is, and just set myself one small thing to do for the next day, and really has to be something that is definitely going to happen, so that you've got that sense of accomplishment and sense of achievement, then it makes for a good day moving forward. Yeah, I try to do it at night. It only a couple of minutes just to reflect on what went well today, what happened, what great conversations did I have, or who did I spend time with today that was really good, and just the things like that fill your cup up ready for the next day.
I'm going to start wrapping up in a minute. I'm just noticing in your background you've got a "We Love Our Community" sign. So you have a CBF community, do you?
Oh, you've got to have the socials these days, haven't you? Otherwise, you don't exist in terms of business-wise. That's the only thing I hate about business, is you have to be on socials. So, yes, I've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Pinterest as well. So you can even create your own outfit through the Pinterest boards. So, yes, we're all over the place. CBF Clothing. I think Instagram, I think someone stole my CBF Clothing, so it's CBF Clothing _brand. But we're there. Wow.
Is there anything else you want to add before we go? Is there anything we haven't covered that you really wanted to?
No, I don't think so. Just, but yeah, I do. There's a few articles on the blog for the webpage that if you're interested in finding out a bit more about what's got, about the CBF attitude. And yeah, I'm always up for looking for ambassadors if you want to help support the CBF brand and show people that CBF, we have an ambassador program, which you're more than welcome to come and join and get discounts and commission codes. But other than that, no, all good. Just be your true, authentic self and live your life on your own terms.
I think it's great. Like I said at the start, I was stalking you on your webpage and looking at it, and I just like the whole attitude, because it is just about, I've worked with people who their whole walk is just be yourself, and it's completely not. It's about fitting in, looking that way, and if you don't fit in, they'll gaslight you. Like, it's really bad.
Yeah.
But yours really is who honestly 99.5% of us really can't be asked when we get to the gym. It's like it's a nuisance going there. We all stand there at the beginning of a class.
And just with all the little fights about should the buttons on your do not be facing the feet or facing the head. Who cares? Just whatever. If you can't be bothered putting the cover on this week, it's okay. Doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt.
Nobody's going to die. The world's not going to stop turning.
Yeah, it's okay. If you want breakfast for lunch, that's all right too. Hello. You can eat cornflakes for dinner. It's okay.
And it's bizarre, isn't it, that we are so, like, when we look at life sometimes, we're so structured in what we can and can't do. We have to do this, then that, then we have to look a certain way, dress a certain way. Have you looked at old lady clothes shops? Dear God, when you get to 50, there's a certain way you're supposed to look. Can't do it.
100%. Exactly. How dare you show your ankles? How dare you?
Yes, and never mind your knees. Good God.
I know. And if you even try and put your knives and forks in another drawer except for the top drawer, then you're extradited. Who cares, man? Whereas my most viral video was one where I was taking the dog for a walk and I had my phone up here and it was all one take. And I didn't have makeup on. I was just in my normal clothes and taking the dog for a walk. There was ums and ahs everywhere and slipping up on my words. But that to me is what being authentic is being unfiltered, unapologetic, and just getting yourself out there.
And that's why I like these kind of podcasts, because if I had a script and I'd sent you the script beforehand, you wouldn't be being authentic. It would just be you reading.
No.
Your written answers.
It wouldn't have been a great conversation because I would probably be more nervous as well because I was like, I have to make sure I say this and that. No, I'm not that sort of person. I'm happy to just have a chat and see what comes.
So with me bitching about stuff and my daughter crawling across the background.
See? I'm sure that'd be much more entertaining than any crap that I've got to say.
It is more authentic, but it just gives everybody permission to be okay with who they are.
Yes, 100%. That's definitely what it's about, 100%.
Yeah, and when I was having a rough one about 10 years ago, the only thing that got me through was I read somewhere that the universe only made one of you so it can look at itself from your viewpoint, and it made you perfectly. And that kind of made me start to be able to accept things about myself. Yeah. We all go through all the stuff, never mind physical, just personality and stuff.
Yeah, everything
that my mouth comes out with sometimes that I go.
That's often something that I go, oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry.
I know. It's great. Anyway, before we wrap up, All of the links to the website are on the webpage that go with the podcast, but you share them anyway for now, Tracy. Tell us where we can get in touch with you.
So the website is cbfclothing.com.au. The Facebook page is CBF Clothing, and Instagram is CBF Clothing_brand. I think all the others. Oh, I'm on TikTok as well, but I haven't posted on there for ages. So just you can check out my really awkward lip syncs from when I was in lockdown.
I'll have to do that. Maybe we should do a TikTok video where we're lip syncing and dancing really badly together.
100%.
It'd be so much fun. Actually, I'm so happy to do
that was during lockdown when I had lots of time.
Yeah, no, it's TikTok videos take so long. I get my daughter to do them, but even she doesn't like doing them. Thank you so much for being on. It's been a lot of fun, and you've been really helpful.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and don't forget to rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you're leaving with some thought-provoking information that can make a difference in your life. See you next time.